Hello. In this week's Torah portion, Yitro, we hear the following familiar commandments. Quote, 6 days shall you labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work. Unquote. Let's concentrate on the first part. 6 days shall you labor and do all your work. Sheshet yamim ta'avod ve'asita kol melachtecha. The question before us today is 6 days shall you labor a positive commandment? Do you have to work 6 days a week? Note that it says shall, not may. So it appears to be an obligation, not an option. Indeed, if it's not a commandment, why doesn't the Torah just say, do no work on the seventh day? Why mention the 6 days at all? Are we at liberty to rest for more than 1 day a week? The question is of acute interest to me personally, since I recently retired and would like to know if I'm breaking any commandments by not being gainfully employed. First, let us examine the wording of the injunction. In Exodus 20, in our portion, it says, 6 days shall you labor and do all your work. It is repeated in Exodus 34 and Deuteronomy 5. But in Exodus 31 and Leviticus 23, the passive voice is used. In 6 days work will be done. Sheshet yamim ya'aseh melacha. This is repeated in Exodus 35, but there the correct feminine form te'aseh is used as melacha is feminine. Needless to say, work is very important in the Jewish tradition. The Mishnah says, love work, ehav et hamlacha. The Talmud expands on this notion. It's a lengthy quote. Shemaiah says, love work. Love work? How? A man should love work and not hate work. Just as the Torah was given in a covenant, so too work was given in a covenant. As it says in Exodus, 6 days shall you labor and do all your work, but the seventh is a Shabbat to the Lord your God. Now, side question, does this imply that Shabbat is a reward for work? Back to the Talmud. Rabbi Akiva says, sometimes a man does work and is saved from death, and other times he does not do work and incurs a death penalty from God. How? If a man sat all week and did no work, and therefore had nothing to eat, and he had money that had been dedicated to the temple in his possession, and used it to purchase food and ate, he is liable to the death penalty from God. That is, God will end his life, but he cannot be executed. But if he worked all week building the temple, even though he was paid out of temple funds, and he took from them and purchased food and ate, he is saved from death. That is, he did nothing wrong. Rabbi Dostai said, how can it happen that one who did no work all the 6 days shall finally be compelled to labor all 7 days? Strange as this appears, it may happen. For instance, a man who did no work during the week, Friday comes and he has nothing to eat. He starts to look for work, but is seized by conscription officers who, holding him by an iron chain, compel him to make up on Shabbat for what he neglected during the 6 days. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar said, even Adam the first tasted nothing before he performed some work, as it is written in Genesis, and put him into the Garden of Eden to till it and to keep it. And afterward he was commanded, of every tree in the garden you may freely eat. Work came first. Rabbi Tarfon said, even the Holy One, blessed be He, did not rest His Shekhinah, His divine presence, in the midst of Israel before they performed some work. As it is written, and they shall make me a sanctuary, and then I will dwell in the midst of them. Rabbi Yehuda ben Betera says, someone who has no work to do, what should he do? If he has a desolate courtyard or a desolate field, he should go and busy himself in it. As it is written, 6 days you will labor and do all your work. What is taught by and do all your work? To include someone that has desolate courtyards and desolate fields, he should go and busy himself. Rabbi Tarfon says, a man only dies due to being idle. In Hebrew, batalah. As it is written in Genesis, and he expired and was gathered to his people. Now, side question. Does this imply that weak old people die because they can't work? The Rambam, or Maimonides, the 11th century sage, wrote that anyone who makes up his mind to study Torah and not work, but live on charity, profanes the name of God, disgraces the Torah, obscures the light of religion, causes harm to himself, and deprives himself of life in the future worlds. For it is forbidden to derive temporal advantage from the words of the Torah. The sages said, whoever makes selfish use of the teachings of the Torah takes his own life. They further told us, do not make of them a crown with which to magnify yourself, nor a spade with which to dig. They urged us strongly, moreover, love work and hate arrogance. All Torah study, which is not combined with some work, must at length fail and occasion sin. The end of such a person will be that he will rob his fellow man. Anyone who maintains himself by the work of his hands possesses a great virtue, a virtue of the early saints, whereby he will attain all the glory and happiness of both this and the future worlds. As it is written by the psalmist, when you eat the fruit of the labor of your hands, you shall be happy, and it shall be well with you. You shall be happy in this world, and it shall be well with you in the future worlds, which will be altogether good. As a result, the rabbis of the Talmud used to work for a living. Sephardic rabbis still do. But modern Western rabbis live on just being rabbis. In Israel, lots of scholars survive on charity alone, and this is a source of friction. Here are some examples of ancient rabbinic professions. Hillel was a wood chopper and a well digger. Shammai was a builder, a contractor. Rabbi Yohanan ben Zakkai was a businessman. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Hananiah was a blacksmith. Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Hananel were scribes. Rabbi Hanina sold bees' honey. Rabbi Hiya the elder, Rabbi Shimon ben Rabbi, and Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel traded silk at Tyre. Rabbi Yohanan HaSandlar was a shoemaker. Rabbi Yehuda the baker was, guess what? Rabbi Yossi ben Halafta was a tanner. Rabbi Yehuda ben Isaiah was known as the perfume maker. The Talmud says, the world cannot exist without a perfume maker and without a tanner. Happy is he whose craft is that of a perfume maker, and woe to him who is a tanner by trade. There's a lot of smelling in the tanning business. Rabbi Shimon Pekuli was a cotton dealer. Rabbi Shmuel ben Shilas was a school teacher. Rabbi Safra and Rabbi Dimi of Nehardea were merchants. Rabbi Abba ben Zavina was a tailor. Rabbi Yosef ben Hiya and Rabbi Yanai owned vineyards. Rabbi Huna was a farmer and raised cattle. Rabbi Hisda and Rabbi Papa were beer brewers. Abba Hilkiah was a field laborer. Abba Shaul was a grave digger. Abba Hoshea was a launderer and stomped olives with Rabbi Hiya the elder. Karna was a wine smeller. He determined how long wine could last before going bad. Rabbi Hiya ben Yosef was in the salt business. Rabbi Elazar ben Tzadok and Rabbi Shaul ben Botnit were storekeepers in Jerusalem. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah sold oil and wine. Abba bar Abba was a silk merchant, and his son Mar Shmuel was a physician. Many were in the textile industry. Some had inherited wealth. Among the later rabbis, Rashi was a vintner. He grew vineyards and made wine. The Rambam and the Ramban were both physicians. The Mechilta introduces the notion that if Jews are observant, God or others will do their work for them. One verse says 6 days work will be done, passive voice, and another says 6 days you will work and do all your labor, active voice. How can both be true? It means, the Mechilta says, that in a time that Israel is doing the will of God, their work will be done by others. As it says, work will be done. And so too it says in Isaiah 61:5, and strangers shall stand and feed your flocks, and the sons of the alien shall be your plowmen and tend your vineyards. But you shall be named the priests of the Lord. Men shall call you the ministers of our gods. You shall eat the wealth of the nations, and in their riches you shall glory. And when they don't do the will of gods, they will do their work themselves, as it says, and you will do all your work. Unquote. This quote is used by some Orthodox Jews to justify studying Torah all the time and doing no work. So the question arises, is work a religious obligation or a punishment or necessary evil for not being observant enough? Chabad says that the passive voice means that God is doing the work for you if you're observant, even though you're doing it yourself. Sforno says, you shall succeed in your 6 days of work when you observe Shabbat on the 7th. Rashi asks, can you really do all your work in 6 days? Of course not. It means that when Shabbat arrives, you should feel as if all your work were finished, even though it is not. So Shabbat is not only deeds, but also attitudes. You should feel as much at ease as if you had done all your work. Here comes the important part. Now, what we have not done yet is define exactly what is meant by work. It turns out the Talmud defines work very narrowly. Work consists of any of 39 activities, melachot in Hebrew, that become prohibited on Shabbat. They are carrying, burning, extinguishing, finishing, writing, erasing, cooking, washing, sewing, tearing, knotting, untying, shaping, plowing, planting, reaping, harvesting, threshing, winnowing, selecting, sifting, grinding, kneading, combining, spinning, dyeing, chain stitching, warping, weaving, unraveling, building, demolishing, trapping, shearing, slaughtering, skinning, tanning, smoothing, and marking. So, the commandment to work the rest of the week can be fulfilled by engaging in any one of them, and no more. You could fulfill that commandment by signing your name on the first day, flipping a light switch on the second day, driving around the block on the third day, etc. So, interpreting 6 days shall you labor as a positive commandment would not accomplish anything really significant. Also, work provides contrasts. To appreciate rest properly, you have to work the rest of the time. So the focus of the verse is on Shabbat. Its real meaning is, if you work for 6 days, then you will really appreciate resting on the 7th. So, is 6 days shall you labor and do all your work a commandment? No. The sages do not list it among the 613 mitzvot. It is simply a prelude to the real commandment to refrain from work on the 7th day, on Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.